The 18th of September, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay. Rabba Omerloch. Oh, so we're in the middle of this complicated cheshbon. And now Rabba is going to explain Machlekes Tanoim in a way that works out according to his opinion. Right? We're talking about yeah. Oh, that was the case. Motza eagle betocho cheres, kikor betocho mos. That was the case that we're talking about. Tanakama says Hare Elu Shalo, and the Chamim say Chayv Lahachris. Okay, so now Rabbah, he's going to explain Machlekes Tanoim according to his opinion. So let's see where that is. Well, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the from where the narrow lines end. Go up 8 lines from where the narrow lines end. You'll get to Rabbi Omar at the end of the line.
The Rabbi Omar Lach. Now Rabbi could say to you, to Kule Alma, according to everybody, or everybody agrees, Siman Ha Sui Lidar Race Lo Have Siman. An
Right.
identifying mark that tends to be trampled is not considered to be an identifying mark. Ve'ein ma'avirin al ha'ochalin. And one may not pass by food. V'hacha, and here, in our case, I guess with the fig cake that has the pottery shard, v'siman hacha haba may love ka miflage. They disagree regarding the significance of an identifying mark that may have come about on its own. Tana Kama Savar, the Tana Kama, the author of the Brisa, he says, Lo have simon. So an identifying mark that did not come out about intentionally. In other words, the shard fell into the figs without the knowledge of the owner of the figs, according to the Tanna Kama, it's not considered that there's a simon on that cake of figs because he doesn't know about it. The Rebbe Yehuda Savar, but Rebbe Yehuda thinks have a simon. It is a simon. It's still a simon, even though he doesn't know about it. We got a Rashi on this?
Yeah. Rava Omalach. Yeah.
I'm driving, so I can't read it.
Okay, Phil.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Rava. So I can find this. Rava Amar Lach. Rava could say to you, V'hacha hayinu tama to Rebbe Yehuda mishum de ein ma'avirin al ha'ochlin. What's this?
So Rab is saying that here in this case, the reason for Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Lahachris.
What's the Hachris?
He's required to announce it.
An ask.
Lahachris is the opposite of Hare Elu Shalom. Hare Elu Shalom means, behold, it belongs to him, the finder. And he obviously doesn't have to announce it. The reason Chayv Lahachris means he's obligated to announce that he lost, that he found this lost item, because he can't keep it for himself. He has to locate the one who owns it. Okay, so Rashi is explaining that Hocha in this case, Hainu Taima the Rebbe Yehuda. This is the reasoning of Rebbe Yehuda. Mishum de ein mavirin ala ochlin. That a person is not supposed to just walk by ochlin without picking it up and putting it in a safe place where it won't get trampled on. The Tanna Kama, Hachinami, Islay, Ein Mavirin. But indeed, as well, the Tanna Kama, so those are the two opinions that we're talking about over here. There's Rebbe Yehuda, and then there's the Tanna Kama. Tafkuf is the Tanna Kama. Indeed, it is so that he also, according to Rabbah, holds similarly that Eimavirin, that one cannot pass by. So they both agree on that point.
Right. Umishum Hai.
Yeah.
And because of this,
Yeah.
because of this, the fact that he says you can't pass by,
Yeah.
Kikaros shall Baal Habayis, the loaves of bread that belong to the homeowner, Chayev. He's obligated to announce them. L'hachris v'ta'amahu be'igul mishum desiman. And the reason is because it has a simon, and since people can't pass by it, the first person that comes upon it's going to pick it up, and the simon's going to be there. Haba me'ai what's ma'ilav?
By itself.
By itself. Who? It's by itself.
Yeah, that's in other words, the case of a pottery shard falling into a fig cake. It was not put there intentionally by the owner of the fig cake.
Oh,
It's called the case of a siman haba me'elav, a siman that came on its own.
right.
So there's yeah.
Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda, Savar Have Simon, and Rabbi Yehuda says that is a simon, even though it fell by itself.
Right. Right. So they won't disagree. It sounds like in the case of a kikar, shel balabais, that the din will be chayv lahachris. They both will agree to that, like it says in the Mishnah on Chaf Hey.
Because they both say that you can't pass by.
Right. So therefore, it's not going to get trampled upon, and the owner's not going to give up.
Right.
But in this case, with the siman haba me'elav, this is the case with the fig cake, the pottery shard in the fig cake. So then they do have a machlokes, but the basis of the machlokes is not the same machlokes of Rabba and Rava. Machlokes of Rabba and Rava was a siman which is asli lidros that they argued about.
What's litros?
It's a siman that's going to get trampled on. So the question is, though, why how's this working exactly? It doesn't seem to be.
Well, wouldn't you say that with the bread, the significant factor is whether it gets trampled on, but with the fig cake, that's not the significant factor. The significant factor with the fig cake is whether it happened by itself or not.
So therefore, it's not dependent upon
whether somebody passed by or not. It's only dependent now upon the opinion of whether a siman that is unintentional is a siman.
Yeah, if you say that the siman haba me'elav is not regarded as a siman altogether,
right?
So then, even if you hold that people won't trample on it because it's food and people don't trample on food, but it doesn't have a siman. The whole issue of trampling is that you have a siman, and your question is, do you say that since people are going to trample on it, the siman is going to get stomped out and it won't be a siman anymore?
Right.
But if you say if the machlokes over here is whether a siman that comes by itself is regarded as a siman altogether. And according to, so they're arguing about that. According to Rabbah, they'll both agree. The both of them will agree. Both the Tanakhama and Rabbi Yehuda will agree that a siman, which is asa lidros, is a siman. But what? But it's not going to get trampled in any case because of ein mavirin ala ochel. People are not going to trample on ochel. They're going to not trample on it, and they're going to pick it up.
Right.
But in other words, the rabbi is saying that there's this threshold question over here. Is it a siman altogether? Is it regarded as a siman altogether? That's a threshold question.
Right.
In other words, according to one of the two opinions over here, he holds that this siman, which came by itself, is not regarded as a siman at all. So it doesn't matter whether, even if we say that even if both agree that you don't trample on a siman and stomp it out, it's not called a siman. It's not regarded in halacha that it has a siman, according to that. According to one of these two opinions. So that's going to be the point of dispute, and not whether or not a siman, which is asi lidros, is a siman or not. They both agree that if it would be asi lidros, then it would not be a siman. That was the point of dispute with Rabbah and Rava. So Rabbah is saying that they're not arguing about that. They both agree to me, each one of them. Rabbah is saying they both agree to me on that point, and Rabbah is also likewise saying they both agree to me on that point. So neither one of them will admit to what the Gemora was suggesting, that Rabbah and Rabbah are arguing the same machlokes that the Tanoim are arguing about. Both of them will say no. They're not arguing that machlokes. They both agree to me. But they're arguing about something else. Okay.
So I'm confused about the opinion that says that an identifying mark that came about on his own is an identifying mark. Because if the owner does not know about it, then whether or not we consider it to be an identifying mark, he is not going to be accounting on that since he doesn't know about it, and therefore he's going to be me'ayush.
Where does it say that he doesn't know about it?
Well, if it came about on his own, then how could he know about it? He didn't put it there.
Right, true. That's a point. Does the finder know that he doesn't know about it?
No, he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
Take a figs with the shard.
So now we have a machlekes Tanoim. What does the finder think about this item over here with the pottery shard?
Oh, that's the machlokes. If he assumes that it was there put there intentionally, then he's going to assume that the owner is not me'ayush, and therefore he has to announce it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, take a look at Rashi. There's a Rashi over here. above, Havi Simon. He's explaining why the Manda Omer who says a Simon Habome Love Havi Simon.
Let's see. Havi Simon. Havi Simon. Got it. De Amrinan L'Shem Simon Nisnu Sham Velo Nafal Me Alav Udevar Sheyesh Bo Simon Have Va'afilu Hachi Pligi Rubanan V'amrei Hare Elu Shalo Mishum de Kisavrei Me Averin Al Ha-Ochelin V'Have Le Simon Ha-Asui Liad Rak Liad Ram
Idros.
Lead Rose. Okay,
Be trampled upon.
that they say in the name that there's a simon on it there, and it didn't fall onto it. So that, in other words, they're saying it was put there intentionally.
In other words, why do we're calling it a Simon Abome Love because that is the truth. It did fall there on its own. But the question is, how is the finder going to look at it? Is he allowed to look at it and say, oh, this looks like it's a simon that this looks like it just fell there by mistake. Nobody put it there. He's not allowed to look at it like that. He has to look at it from the point of view that this is quite likely that this pottery shard was put here by the owner of this fig cake as a simon.
Right.
And then the other Mondomer will say, no, it's not required to look at it like that. Tosfos actually learns differently than Rashi. Tosfos and Dibra Maskil Simon.
Tosfos.
The bottom Tosfos.
Simon Haba Me'alav. Have a simon. A simon that came on it by accident.
Yeah.
It is a simon. Perushe de le shame simon nisnu sham. The explanation is that the simon was put there below nafal, and it didn't fall by itself. The kasha, and it's a question. The ein derech laseis me os de kikar the simon it's not the way to put what's meos?
Money.
To put money into a loaf of bread for a sign. Ella, rather, Yesh Lomar, there is to say, in other words, Tosfos is going to answer now, de amor yada shinaflu lo. That he knows it. He knows that it fell. Sham there. What is Mem Dalid?
Manda Omar.
And the one who says lo have a simon, that it's not a simon, Kavan, since de regilos, the ba, since it's normal to come me'alav, from upon it, mistama lo yada. I guess what mistama was, we assume that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Kavan she'ain nikar, because it's not obvious. But bechon, what's bechon?
Bechutz.
Bechutz, outside.
The money or the shard is not, Tosus is saying, is not readily visible or apparent from the outside, from looking at the kikar from the outside or the fig cake from the outside.
Right. Aval simane behema, the sign of an animal.
Simone behema.
Shehain mei lehen have simon. What is mei lehen?
Of their own accord, without not the owner placing it there with intention.
Okay, so that they are there on their own. It's nevertheless it's a simon kavan shenikar, because it's obvious. So a simon on an animal, even if it came on its own, it's still a simon because anybody looking at the animal can see. V'chein davar she'ein nikar, and thus the matter that is not obvious, but bechutz, on the outside, im ein regilos, if it's not regular, the ba, to come, may elav have simon. It's not usual for the thing to the simon to be there. Therefore, it is a simon.
So Tosfos is making a rule over here for what should be what the Tosfos is contrasting our case with the money and the bread, where that case is a machloikis, with the case of a simon that came on its own in a behema, which apparently there is not a machloikis about that. Everybody agrees that it's a proper simon, even though the owner didn't put it there, but it's a proper simon.
Right. If it's nicker.
because it's you could see it. Even Sheniker.
So when the finder finds the loaf of bread that has the coins inside of it, he doesn't know there's coins in there. He's not going to cut it open and look for coins. He's going to just assume that somebody dropped the loaf of bread that doesn't have a sign, and he's not going to announce it.
Well, no, the case Tosis is explaining though that there's going to be a machlokes in the case of the money and the bread. That's what the Gemora says. He has to explain why it is there's a machlokes in that case, even though there's no machlokes in the case of the siman that came on its own accord in a behemoth. So he's saying that in the case, he's rejecting Rashi's explanation in the case of the money and the bread. It's not like what Rashi explains. Rashi explains over there that the machlokes is one opinion says that the finder is supposed to be tola that it was put there by the owner. It didn't just come by itself. And the other opinion says no, it's not. He doesn't have to take that into account. That's how Rashi explained the machlokes of siman haba me'elav when it comes to money and bread. But Tosafos says that doesn't make any sense. Tosafos said kasha ain't derek l'teit most bekikar the siman. There's the mandoma. It doesn't make any sense to say that the person should reasonably assume that it's something that a person put there. Nobody puts money in bread. That's not something that somebody does. So that can't be the explanation of the machlokes, says Tosafos, the way Rashi explains, because there would be no machlokes about that matter. Everybody would agree that the person didn't put it there. So if so what's the explanation of the mandoma that says that it is a siman? Tosafos has to explain that. So the mandoma lo avi siman came into regilus lavo me'elav mistama lo yoda. So the Tosafos says is that the mandoma that says that it is a siman is because we have to assume that the person, the owner, knows that it's there. And the mandoma that says it's not a siman, he will say, if there is such a thing like that, it's clear that it came on its own. So mistama lo yoda. So it's reasonable to assume that the owner does not know that the siman that siman came over there onto his fig cake. Came shein nikar b'chutz. He can't see it from the outside. Whereas simoni behema that come of their own accord, that's undisputed that is required, that has a status of being a siman, since that siman is nikar mi b'chutz. So there's no reason to assume that the owner doesn't know about the siman, even though he didn't put it there. But since it's nikar mi b'chutz, it's apparent from the outside, from seeing the behema. You could so he knows that it's there, so that it's a siman, even though he didn't put it there. So that's why there's no machlokes on that matter about a simoni behema. Okay. And the last thing that Tosa says, "V'kein davar she'ein nikar b'chutz," even if it's not a siman which is apparent from looking at it on the outside. Im ein regilas lavo me'elav, if it's not generally the case that such a siman comes on its own, such a thing does not come on its own. In other words, it's not like the case of money in bread, which Tosa said, "Oh, that's ridiculous to assume that the person put it there. That's not what people do." But on the other hand, if it is, even if it's not nikar mi b'chutz, even if you can't tell the siman from the outside, but if in fact it's the siman that it is the regilus, it's common that such a siman does not come by itself. It doesn't come by itself. It doesn't commonly come by itself. Then you have to assume that it is a siman, even if it's not nikar mi b'chutz, even if you can't see it from the outside. So we have so Tosfos is analyzing a few factors over here in coming up with his explanation.
Can you say that last point again? I didn't follow that logic.
This is the last three lines in this Tosfos. So it says, "V'kein davar she'ein nikar b'chutz," and also the din is, it's undisputed that it will be a siman, that even though it's ein nikar b'chutz, even though you can't see the siman from the outside, im ein regilas lavo me'elav, if it is not, if it's not common that such a siman would come by itself without the owner having put it there, so then we will say havi siman, meaning to say that we'll say it's more reasonable to assume that this siman was put there by the owner, because it's not really something that happens by itself.
So
and that'll be even in the case where we can't see it from the outside, right? He didn't put it on the outside, he put it on the inside.
So in other words, if I find a loaf of bread and I cut it open and I see coins inside, then I have to say, even though these coins were not obvious from the outside, since people don't usually put coins in loaves of bread, therefore it must be that this is a siman, and I have to announce it.
The case of the money in the bread, Tosfos has to explain that there's two ways of looking at that.
Yeah.
That case, there's two ways of looking at it. But we don't look at it the way Rashi looks at it. Rashi said the two differing views are looking at it as though one view says, "Oh, I have to assume that it must have been put there by somebody," and the other view says, "Oh no, I don't have to assume that it was put there by somebody." That's the way Rashi explains the machlokes.
Right.
We know, because we know that there's a machlokes in the case of kikar sheyesh mos bo me'olav in a kikar. So Tosfos is rejecting that explanation, because Tosfos is saying doesn't make sense to say that the Manda Omer who says that it's a siman is because you're required to assume that a person put it there. Says Tosfos, that doesn't make sense. It's not the regilus that people put money in bread. On the contrary, if we find money in bread, we don't need to assume. We don't need to assume that it's a siman because the person put it there. Oh, so now we have to explain though still. So why does the Mandomer who says it's a siman, why does he say we have to assume that we take on that it's a simon. Why is that? Well, it's not because we have to assume that he himself put it there intentionally, but, says Tosfos, we have to entertain the possibility that even though he didn't put it there, says Tosfos, Ela yesh lamar de emor yoda de naflu lo sham. He has to entertain the possibility that the owner is aware of the fact that the most fell into the bread, and so practically speaking, he knows that his bread has money in it. So even though he didn't put it there, it's a simon, according to that Manda Omer. The other Manda Omer, Tosfos says, Manda Omer lo abe simon, because this case is a machloikas of money in the bread. The Manda Omer who says it's not a simon, kevin regilus lavome elav mistama lo yoda, kevin she nicker b'chutz. Tosfos says 2 points in favor of this Manda Omer. That first of all, like we said before, it's not since it's not the regilus that somebody would put it there. He probably is more likely to say that he does not know that it's there, especially, says Tosfos, in view of the fact that it's not nicker b'chutz. That's the way Tosfos explains the machloikis of somebody that finds a kikar that has money in it. Okay.
Okay, I think I follow what you just said.
Yeah, you got to go over the Tosfos. Go over the Tosfos, and you'll see, and you'll work it through.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, all the best. We'll see you tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem.
Imyitz Hashem. Thank you
Have
so
a great
much.
day,
Have a
Lou.
good day.
And have a great day, Phil.
I think we lost him.
Oh, he's already
He's
okay.
already gone.